Also, that kind of leads into just because something hasn't engaged you yet, it doesn't mean it's not there, especially if you're against humans. They'll wait, they'll try to lull you into a false sense of security, they'll want you to get slower and lower, and then they'll mass fires on you or pull out some crazy RPG shot, and then you'll become part of a highlight video. So don't let it happen. Does anyone have any questions about the flight profiles?
Yeah.
Phil, go ahead.
What's the airburst distance for RPGs?
They, in reality, it's like I think it's like 800, 900 meters, but that's not how they work in this. I don't know why, but they'll just explode when they pass within proximity of you.
They actually detect your proximity?
It sure looks like that, or else it's incredibly coincidental. Like if you watch any Fallujah SOAR type mission, watch the aircraft flying around. They'll have RPGs exploding right behind them all the time. It can't be coincidence. Right, you got the other question?
Yeah, it's not necessarily profile, but you mentioned the different types of threats. With Tunguskers, what kind of perception do they have of us radar-wise? Like, how quickly can they notice us?
It's a good question. It seems very fast. It's hard to assess that without doing some very deliberate testing of it. If you can see it, it'll probably catch on to you pretty quickly. You probably have time to pop up. Okay, let's put it like this. If it hasn't started shooting you, if you get down behind concealment, move to a firing position for your toe, and pop up and take a shot at it, you'll probably get it before it gets you. But if it starts engaging you, you got to get out of the area, hide, and come back later and try and get it. Or try and do a running shot on it with a toe from altitude. Those are kind of difficult. Or, since they're light armor, you can do a rocket run on them. But again, it's firing that crazy-ass gun at you, and Tunguskers in particular have the missiles, so it's tricky. They're not easy to fight.
Yeah, I remember I was in Tungus for a while back, and it had the same radar thing that you get in the helicopters now. I think the Shilkas do too.
Yeah, I don't even remember the last time you used a human-controlled one of those. Okay, next we are moving on to attack profiles. There's 4 basic types. They are break-off, slashing, stand-off, and pop-up. The thing we did earlier with FFARs, that's a break-off attack. This is your general-purpose tactic. This is the safest one to use if you're not sure. A break-off is used when you expect there to be some kind of AA threat beyond or at the target location. And by AA threat, I don't just mean missiles and cannons. I mean heavy machine guns, medium machine guns, anything that could potentially drop you, which is, as we went over, basically everything. The break-off attack supports all weapon systems equally. It should be your default tactic. For it, the steps, very simple. You line up for the attack run, you go in there, you fire your weapons from a distance, and you break off so you don't overfly it. Everyone did that fine on the FFAR gunning earlier. And like we went over then, the sooner you break off, the better. It's really easy to get in that mentality where it's like, oh, well, if I go a little bit more forward, I'll get a perfect shot, whereas you had an okay shot already. Well, is that perfect shot worth getting hit for? Probably not. You have plenty of munitions. Your safety is more important than that. Next attack is the slashing attack. Oh, well, one last thing to tie in with what Yenko said. Breaking off ensures that anyone who's lining up for that, they're waiting to get closer and closer and closer before they open up on you. The break off prevents that from happening. Alright, moving on to the slashing attack. This is like the lazy man's break off, in that you don't break off. This is used when there's no AA threat at or beyond the target. This is an easy way to do cannon FFAR runs. Like we said earlier, doing simultaneous cannon and FFAR works very well. This is just the simplest tactic. You line up for the target, you fly at the target, you shoot the target, and you fly over the target. Does anyone have any questions on that? Next one, standoff. A standoff attack is basically what we were doing earlier when everyone was hovering and firing at those targets at a distance. Standoff is okay if there's no AA threat expected. You usually use it with cannon and ATGM. FFARs almost always benefit from being used in break-off or slashing methods. For a standoff, you do a slow hover, or you stand off, out of enemy effective range. Get high if you want to. If you're over some kind of tangled ground like the forest over there, that can hinder the enemy's attempts to take you down. Alternatively, if you're over very open ground, such as if we were like hovering over this airfield, it'd be easy to tell if anyone came up below us. Generally speaking, the higher up you are, the better it is. The pop-up attack, the last one, this is your high threat environment tactic. This is where you're very low. You're using buildings or trees or something of that nature to mask yourself. You're expecting some kind of AA threat out there. You want to use this one with cannons and ATGM. Typically, this is your ATGM employment profile. For this, the gunner might be the one that's looking at the map and trying to find out where a good position is, while the pilot's busy staying behind, he's staying at low altitude and staying behind cover and such. So the gunner plots out a point, coordinates this, communicates this to the pilot. Pilot checks it, confirms it, they fly in, get to that firing position with stealth. That's the key part. If they see you go there, they're going to know where you're going to be popping up. If they're human, and if AI, they'll just use magic. So you get to that firing position with all possible stealth. You orient on the threat. You point your nose at it because of the constraints we have with the toe. You tell the gunner what you're doing, popping up. He confirms. You pop up. You have about, like I said, 10, 20 seconds or so to make this shot. Pop up, fire the missile. If the shot isn't good, or the gunner, for whatever reason, the gunner has, he has a say here. If the gunner thinks this isn't working out, he can tell the pilot to drop down. Whatever happens, whether the shot's fired or not, you wait to impact, or you just drop down, and you announce that before you do. You announce it so that the gunner, if he's trying to make his shot at like the 19-second mark, and you don't think it's going to happen, and you feel there's a threat here, he won't waste a missile, in theory. Now, it's the same idea as if we're infantry. If we're infantry, we're staying behind a building, and we pop out on the right side, and we take fire at the right side. Do we want to pop out there again? No, we'll probably get shot. So, as a Cobra, we're even more flexible than that. We can maneuver all over the place. Avoid popping up in the same place twice. Even just moving a few hundred meters laterally will make a big difference. If it's a really high threat environment, move quite a bit. Distance away from the target, come around from another angle, and pop up again. So, Cobra attack profiles, pretty straightforward. There's only 4 of them. They're simple to understand. It's simple to figure out which one's used for what situation. We keep it simple. Our decision-making process is faster because of that. Does anyone have any questions about the attack profiles for Cobra? Alright, go ahead and mount your aircraft. We'll do a prac app of this. I've refueled, rearmed, and repaired one of the helos. Guess whose? Alright, pilots, check your map. You should have an IP to the northeast and a target to the northwest.
Affirmative.
From that IP, you see the dots leading southwest?
Yes.
The intent of this was we'll have the pilot fly in a southwesterly direction and curve in towards the target location. So the gunner will be scanning for the targets. He may see them, he may not. Once he orients on that road running through the wood line, he'll indicate to the pilot to turn towards it. The pilot will turn towards it, and the gunner will coordinate their engagement. We'll use FFARs and cannons for this. The target is a set of 4 trucks on the road with high trees on either side of them. 3, are you ready?
Yep.
3, go ahead, remember, slashing attack.
Roger, Cure scan.
Alright, eyes on the road. Turn right now. Heading 282.
Roger, turning 282. On 282.
4 vehicles. Fuck it, bro. Let's engage all 4 with this gun.
I see. You could have engaged all 4, that's wasting ammo.
Alright, tell me when you're ready. You ready? Yeah?
5. Destroyed so far.
Are those victory flares? That was a nice run. Alright guys, check your map. You should see an IP far up north, then an FP, that's a firing position, then a target area mark. Confirm you see those?
Group of 3
One
Cs.
sees. Do you have a suggested approach, or can we head straight there?
I'd like you to fly northeast, then north, break over to the IP, and stage there. So everyone go there now.